Hi, Sagittarius. This is your May astrology reading for all Sagittarius signs, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. And you're going through some inner security. I mean, the way the astrology shows it is you're really tapping into some of your innermost private and personal areas. And if that is actually structured in healthy ways to support you as you grow and mature and overcome insecurities with that growth, and some of it is you're dealing with some self-deception, self-undoing, for self-realization, new authority, like personal authority, personal investments. There's definitely heart chakra, third, or crown. Dealing with some grief, sorrow, shame, and blame, or insecurities. Frustration within that inner privacy, inner private areas. I don't want to say that are coming out because I don't want to say like they're coming out for the world to see, but what it is it's restructuring relationships, restructuring the authority for strength within your relationships, refoundation, but it's all based on deep private returning back to you. It's a positive thing. It's really coming back into finding authority within yourself. But by digging through some deep, hidden stuff where you're really in your personal foundations. You're strengthening your personal foundations. You're strengthening the roots behind the true self. You're having some personal or maybe family judgments. Some communication going on in there. For some of you, there is some travel. For some of you, there's also the confusion as to, are you really getting into the heart of the matter or the three-dimensional materialistic point of the matter? Because it's going into levels of what you value. And if you're tripping past that three-dimensional materialistic idea of importance of value versus truly getting into the depths of value, and I feel like you're having a little bit of a tug of war here, and knowing how to speak it outwardly. But I feel like it's more of learning it and investigating it within yourself before you even try to speak it out. New levels of self-realization. And where that self-realization is going to take you as far as your goals, your dreams, your ambitions, where you want your life to go. All right, with that being said, I'm telling everybody, I'm reminding you from the 10th, this month's going to be a sensitive month. Not necessarily a bad sensitive month, but it's sensitive. It's going to have very flowing energy. But it may not feel like it's going with the flow, but the energy is going to be flowing. Maybe an energy that you're not exactly 100% comfortable with as it shifts like so. From the 10th through the 17th, you have several planets going retrograde, and I will discuss that as we get to where we are talking about. Your planet, your ruling planet, Jupiter, is going to go retrograde on the 14th. Understand that until the 14th, your ruling planet is in shadow. So it's higher knowledge and it's abundance. It's a manifestation, maybe coming from a darker aspect because it is in shadow, maybe showing you mirroring events, at least up until the 14th as well. Now, from the 7th through the 11th, Mars and Ceres are starting to conjunct. They're going to be in conjunction all month. So you'll start feeling it as a sensitive or an empath, starting to come into that power around the 7th through the 11th. But it's going to be at its heightened power from the 20th through the 27th. They're in 1 degree of each other, and Spirit just keeps throwing at me. That's where the threefold will come in. That's where the karmic energy is going to come in and show itself as to where you have been doing your work or not doing your work. Ceres is about nurturing or neglecting. It tends to hit below the belt, in the gut, and it's with Mars. They're leaving Aquarius, they're going into Pisces. So for the most part, this energy is in Pisces energy. And it's Mars versus heart of nurturing or neglecting, that threefold. Too close to home. Mars is your inner warrior, your inner passion, action, aggression. But it's also your inner sexuality and your inner SWAT team. It has a little bit to do with sacral chakra and solar plexus. We're going to take a good look at this in a minute. I'm just throwing this stuff out there. Chiron in Aries and Eris in Aries are in opposition of Libra all month long, which has Juno in retrograde until the 27th. That's the only one coming out of retrograde. And that's sacrificing commitment. You have the full moon on the 7th in Scorpio and the new moon on the 22nd in Gemini. So let's just take a little look here. Your first house doesn't have anything in it, but your second house has way more than enough to cover that lack of nothing being there. Your second house has Pluto in it. Now, Pluto has already gone retrograde, and the way I explain Pluto is the only planet when it goes retrograde that doesn't turn inward, because Pluto is always inward. When Pluto is in retrograde, it just starts whipping your ass. It's like, I've done shown you these things. Are you going to do something about it? You have Jupiter here, your leading planet, in your second house. And up until, like I said, up until the 14th, Jupiter technically is in shadow with Pluto already in retrograde. Your second house is your investment of self. It is your value, your self-value, self-worth, self-esteem, where liberation is made or lost. It also speaks to you of your hidden talents when you are in the level of high vibrational self-love, self-value, self-esteem, self-worth, security with who and what you are. It brings to you the ability to manifest more possessions, things that you like your crystals, money, and strengthen that. Strengthen your movable property, because that ultimately helps you tap into the comfortability of your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. It's that law of attraction. Pluto is in retrograde here. He's coming down on where you're not 100% feeling the value of yourself, where you're not feeling that self-worth, that self-value, that self-esteem, where you're feeling insecure or lack of being liberated. And if you are feeling that, it's going to bring up possessive, controlling, jealous energies. Like I said, Pluto is already in retrograde. Jupiter is bringing in the abundance of what you either are doing right or what you are doing wrong. Now, with it being in shadow, it's probably tapping more into until the 14th, where you're feeling a little lower vibrational about yourself, where you're questioning your value, your worth, where you're questioning your security and that investment in that power of you, which may make you a little controlling and possessive. But there's a lesson here to be learned. Now, when Jupiter goes retrograde after the 14th, he's still in a very fall position, even though he's your ruler. He's not in the most comfortable of places. And like I said, Pluto is in the position of going, well, these are the things that you've learned about yourself. These are the things that you know that you are, but maybe aren't tapping into. And why? Well, why aren't you? So he'll be pushing on that not structuring, but he'll be pushing on you to make the self-improvement adjustments for your security, for you to stand strong, firm, and tall without being possessive, without being controlling, but to stand in your full power. He's asking you to shape shift into that power and bring the manifestation of it to you. But if you're manipulating in this energy, because I just heard for some of you it's going to be manipulating, that's actually showing where you're afraid, where you're fearing yourself, fearing coming into your power, fearing your value. And that's a lesson. While these two are in retrograde, it's only going to be helping you this whole time to shape shift into a new personal foundation of your value, your worth, your self-esteem. Now, your third house is your inner communication. Your third house right now is Aquarius. And you have Saturn here until the 11th when it goes retrograde. So in that communication, it may be a little bit, okay, Saturn in Aquarius, normally I say Saturn is kind of restricted and, oh, I don't really like that when I put my walls up. But in Aquarius, he's kind of like, yeah, let me take a chance. I'll try something new. But he may be trying things that aren't exactly the most positive for him up until the 11th, because he's taking a chance, but he's also taking it in from a shadow aspect. Rules, walls, and boundaries within the communication. So you may be spitting out your opinions without thinking them through. You may not thoroughly be diving into that Sagittarius understanding from a larger perspective. You may be thinking of it from a more smaller perspective, from a less open mind, at least up until the 11th. Now, after the 11th, that self-communication is going to start triggering that self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, and not triggering it in a bad way. It should be triggering how to help invest in your securities by strengthening that core of it. But up until then, it may be doing a little bit of funky business, helping you to see where the foundation and the communication is not exactly the healthiest. Now, on the 18th, Pallas goes retrograde in Aquarius as well. And Pallas is Athena, the warrior goddess. She's all about strategic thinking. So as of the 18th, with them both in retrograde, they're both strengthening how to communicate, how to be heard, how to understand yourself, so that what you are trying to communicate out, your intellect is becoming larger, which is also bringing your appearance to yourself, your character of yourself, your personality, and self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. That investment is becoming more secure and more strengthened. But you're going to be noticing it as you come to the end of the month more. Like I said, you have Pluto, which will not Pluto, you have your sign, Jupiter, which will not go retrograde until the 14th. Saturn is not going to go retrograde until the 11th. And what's going to start strengthening that intelligence and helping you to redevelop it, that is Juno, and it's not Juno, Pallas, and it's not going to go retrograde until the 18th. So the second half of the month, you're going to start to feel like you're coming more into this power. But at first, you may be a little bit jaded, a little bit more small-minded because of the way Saturn is playing the game while it's in shadow. Now, when we get into your 4th house here, this is where Spirit was saying from the 7th through the 11th, you're going to start to find Mars and Ceres starting to conjunct. But its most powerful energies, which has been brought to my attention, from the 20th through the 27th, they're in 1 degree of each other. That conjunction, they're going to be in conjunction all month, but that conjunction hits its most powerful point between the 20th and the 27th, and that's where the threefold is coming in. So if you're knowledgeable, I don't want to say that you're lower dimensional or that you're not as optimistic or that you're maybe even self-centered. But like you said, Saturn in your communication right now is kind of just willy-nilly going, let me try things, and let me just blurt out what I gotta say, and it may be coming a little bit more shallow, and it's not coming from your higher level of intelligence. Jupiter is in shadow. Jupiter is the higher level of intelligence. It doesn't go retrograde and actually start talking to you in healthy ways until the 14th. So the first half of the month, you're going to find that there's going to be a complete flip over for you come the second half. And you want to make sure that you're aware of where some of those negatives, some of that lower vibrational energy is pointing out lessons to learn before the 20th through the 27th. Because Ceres and Mars are coming into conjunction and they're going to be at their strongest point there. This is your 4th house. Your inner emotional security, the roots of who and what you are. It's your family land, your family foundation. It's your personal foundation. It is the roots of you. It is the true self. This is the home. But this always will be the home until this body is no more. So you can only lose the power of this when you've accidentally misplaced it. You can only lose the security that you have within yourself when you've accidentally lost it, forgotten about it, forgot how to tap into it. This can't be truly secure if this is not. Mars is here, your inner warrior, your inner confidence, your inner passion, action, aggression, tapping into the firm ability of being able to nurture your security. But if you are misunderstanding any of this guidance, Ceres is going to come in and hit you under the belt from the 20th through the 27th with that threefold karma and show you where you're neglecting it. Because Ceres is all about nurturing and how to nurture you right. She also deals with, as a parent nurtures. So she deals with about health care. She deals with like child support. She deals with child neglect. So this may also be things from the past as an inner child that you're learning to shift into healthy new ways instead of pick up that same old torch and go down the same old road. This is teaching you how to nurture yourself right, how to have the confidence and believe in yourself, and also how to feel that inner belly dancer within you strengthen and grow so that you are truly tapping into that inner emotional security, self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. Find liberation, stand strong and firm and tall in your power. But if you're missing any of this in the slightest little bit with these retrogrades, with these shadow energies before retrograde, karma is going to come in and threefold that from the 20th through the 27th and let you know where you're making the mistake. Because, like I said, nurture or neglect. This is Pisces energy. This is also where you may give up power to other people because of your compassion, which is actually taking from you having the time to invest in you. And Neptune here creates whatever you give him. Neptune does not care if it's positive magic or negative magic. He's where fantasy smacks you in the face with harsh-ass reality. And this is why I said from the 20th through the 27th, you'll be shown if you're making a mistake. But the upside, if you are, is you're being shown where you're giving yourself the lack of self-love, the lack of reclaiming that power, and it's showing you how to re-steer it and how to communicate in better ways by realizing where you've made the mistake. Now, as you move into your 5th house, all month long, your 5th house and your 11th house are in opposition. The 11th house is Libra for you. The 11th house is your community, your larger groups, your friends, the memberships that you are part of. The 5th house is your inner creative expression. It's your personal interests. It's your inner child, your creative expression, your fun. It's also dating, romance, sex, hobbies. It's a pursuit of pleasure is the 5th house. The 5th house is all about what makes you tick and enjoy being part of this life. And are you getting the chance to be and grow and mature in what it is that you enjoy? Or are those communities, friendships, memberships pulling you kind of away from what you truly dig, truly enjoy, truly want to be a part of? Though I like to explain it this way. If you're a musician and you really just enjoy playing music, but your community has you doing this, your friends, your goals, and you never really have time to do that, well, that's because you have the wrong friends. Your true friends, communities, memberships are supposed to support you in your growth. They're supposed to support you in your growth, your goals, your ambitions, and help you see, find, and define your real self, your self-realization, so that you can grow into everything you want to enjoy in life. Chiron is in the 5th house, saying there's a part of that inner creativity that's not quite healed, not quite right. Chiron is saying there's a new cycle here, tapping into your new creativity, tapping into trying new things, stepping into new depths of your self-discovery. And it's saying right off the bat, Chiron and Lilith is asking you, well, why aren't you putting the fire into you? Why aren't you putting the fire into those things that you enjoy? Why aren't you putting the fire into maybe schooling yourself into learning this new creative thing? Eris is also here. She's Medusa, trouble, toil, and strife. So there's a fear of something about this that you want to, this creative expression, something you fear diving into. The 11th house for you is Libra. The collective consciousness is there. There means that there is actually something in that 11th house with those groups, those memberships, those friends, that community that's going to mirror back to you exactly what you don't like that you are doing that's keeping you from doing what you want to be doing. So it may not be that there needs to be cord cutting, but it will be that the collective consciousness in that community is going to show you somehow through a mirror what your reflection is that you're ignoring, so that you can start tapping into your true self and your true goals, dreams, and ambitions. And then if they really are your community, they really are your friends, they'll help you come into finding and discovering that self-realization. Right there will tell you if they're the right people or not. Your sixth house is Uranus, and the sun is still here up until the 20th. So the sixth house is telling you your routines are what is either going to strengthen you or break you. Your daily routines, daily health care, daily diet, daily hygiene, daily routines, everyday mundane tasks. And the mundane is the most important part because we overlook it. It's the most important magic of our life. And the mundane tasks are the people, places, and energies that you consume on a regular basis. Uranus is here asking you, because Uranus rules the second house, going all the way back to your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, going back to the way you create and spend your money, go back to the possessions, which makes you either possessive or standing in your power. Independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom. Are you doing the routines that you want to do in life? Or are you doing someone else's routines because you're going with the flow? It is being illuminated right up until the 20th. Whether you're standing in that independence, you're coming in